And welcome back to another edition of Let's Talk Short Track Racing podcast. I'm Jake Wilson. Glad to be back with you to recap what was a busy weekend in the short track world. We'll talk about some of the great racing action that took place across the country this last weekend, as well as previewing some of the big events that are going to be coming up over the course of the next few weeks and next few months, as of course we're getting into one of my favorite times of year when it comes to short track racing, especially on the asphalt side. It is crown jewel season. We've got some big events, some big races coming up over the course of the next few months. And it's great to see some of the tracks up in the Northeast. Their seasons are starting to wind down. That means some of these bigger events. That means at the end of the year, you're going to get to see some of the biggest names in all of racing showing up for these big money events that a lot of these tracks and a lot of these series like to put on at the end of the season. Sets up for a great end of the racing season. Of course, all roads leading to the Snowball Derby at Pensacola, Florida, the first weekend in December. But we will talk about that a little bit later on. We'll talk about the big event that happened at Cordial Motor Speedway this last weekend, a doubleheader with super late model racing action both on Friday night and on Saturday night. We'll recap those events as well. One of the biggest events in all of dirt racing, super late model racing, of course, with the running of the World 100 at Eldora Speedway took place this last weekend. We'll touch base as well as previewing some of the big events that are coming up over the course of the next couple of weeks to get you set and ready to go for the final push here in 2025. We'll talk about some of the great events that are coming up this weekend. We don't get to talk NASCAR short track racing a whole lot, but we get to do that this weekend when NASCAR heads to Thunder Valley. That's going to be Bristol Motor Speedway this weekend. Triple header, actually quadruple, 4 different series in action over three nights there at Bristol Motor Speedway. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Be joined a little bit later on by my co-host Aaron Wilcoxon. Sat down and a great interview with our guest on our show this evening, the great and legendary Augie Grill. We've got a big race coming up with the UARA National Tour coming up in 2 weeks at South Alabama Speedway, running of the Frank Grill Memorial 112. As that race continues, the pot gets sweeter and sweeter as additional prize money has been unveiled over the course of the last week or two, making this an even greater payday than it already was going to be. So I think you're going to start to see, you're already seeing the entry list coming out for that race. You're going to see that entry list continue to grow, and I would not be surprised if they added some pretty big names to this list for that event that's coming up in a little bit. So we'll check in with Augie and Aaron here in just a little bit and get you set and ready to go for the Frank Grill Memorial 112 coming up with the UARA National Tour. But we want to start at Cordial Motor Speedway. It's been a little bit of a tricky year this year when it comes to weather at Cordial. I know we were pretty lucky last year where we were able to get a lot of the races in up at Cordial. I was fortunate enough to be there for a lot of those races, but this year Cordial has been bit by Mother Nature quite a bit this season. So they wanted to still have the aspect of the Superfest, which is, of course, going to lead to the running of the World Crown 300 coming up at the end of October. But part of that were these additional super late model Superfest races that were going to bring in some additional bonus money for drivers and some incentive for when you come to the World Crown 300. Your start money is greatly going to increase depending on the amount of events and the amount of races that you were able to take part in. So what did the folks at Cordial Motor Speedway decide to do? They're like, you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's run a double header weekend. We've seen that before. Some great success at Five Flags before with the Blizzard Series running both on a Friday and Saturday night. So Cordial kind of doing a little bit of the same thing. A 75-lap race on Friday night, setting the stage for a 125-lap race the next night for the Summer Nationals. Now, this was a Southern Super Series governed race, but not going to contribute to their point standings on the year. So it was kind of like a late addition to their standings or to their schedule this year. So it wasn't going to affect the point standings. But we saw some of the biggest names in all of short track racing there. We saw Bubba Pollard there. We saw Stephen Nasse there. Matt Craig was there. Jake Garcia taking a break from the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He was there as well as some of the young and up-and-coming stars in super late model racing like Gavin Bushell. Jade Avedizian was there as well. And you also had some local favorites there like Hudson Bulger. You had Jet Nolan there, of course, with the Nolan family and their affiliation with Cordial Motor Speedway. And some drivers from the state of Florida made their way up there as well, like the likes of Daniel Webster, Colin Allman, who's been having a great year as well, with Michael Atwell, winner of the Rattler 250 earlier this year. And, Johnny Sauter was there as well to add to a little bit of that Truck Series flair there as well. So on Friday night, they had 17 cars take the green flag for their 75-lap event. And tell me if you've heard this before, but Bubba Pollard wins at Cordele Motor Speedway. Bubba continues his dominance at his home track in the state of Georgia, where I'm trying to, it's hard for me to remember where a season went by where Bubba didn't score a victory at Cordele Motor Speedway. And he just continues to be dominant at that racetrack and continues to be the standard when it comes to, if you're going to show up there, if you're going to compete, and if you're going to try to win, you're going to have to try to beat the 26 of Bubba Pollard. Of course, Sonoy, Georgia's native, who's won so many events there over the course of the last few years, just adding to his legacy. He was able to hold off Matt Craig, who brought it home second. Jake Garcia was third. Gavin Bichelle finished in fourth. Dylan Feccio, it was good to see Dylan back behind the wheel. He's been kind of doing a little bit of the driver development program, to where for Feccio hasn't really been behind the wheel as much as we would have liked to have seen him in the past, but jumps behind the wheel of his number 89 car and brings it home with a top 5 finish. A couple of drivers that had a little bit of difficulty in that event were Michael Atwell, who brought it home 15th. Stephen Nasse was 16th, had a little bit of a tough going there on Friday night. But the beauty of this doubleheader format, you had an opportunity to work on your car, get your stuff ready for the next day, and be able to come out and compete for 125 laps. One less car in the field the next night, but still a solid field of 16 super late models, and some of the best, biggest names, some of the best teams were represented there. And it was an all-Georgia affair all weekend long at Cordele Motor Speedway. You had Pollard take the victory on Friday night, and then the win on Saturday night went to the number 35 of Jake Garcia. Now, Jake has gone up into the Craftsman Truck Series over the course of the last couple seasons and has had moderate success, hasn't gotten to victory lane yet like he would want to. But we talk about, and you hear guys talk about how momentum is such a big thing, and confidence. And sometimes with some of these drivers that make the step up into the Truck Series, into the Xfinity Series, and sometimes even in the Cup Series, they don't get to race down at the short track and the grassroots level as much as they used to. And sometimes success becomes a little difficult for them. So for the drivers to have the opportunity to come back and get behind the wheel of a super late model, in this case for Jake, to go out and get a win, it's got to be huge for his confidence, because sometimes, you're running on a very, very tough and grueling Craftsman Truck Series schedule, where it's been quite a while since Jake has been to victory lane. But for he and his crew, what a confidence builder that's got to be for a team that doesn't race as often as they used to with Jake's schedule with the Truck Series, but a team that's certainly going to be eyeing some of these big crown jewel events later in the season, for them to come out firing at their home track there in the state of Georgia at Cordele and to pick up a victory, and to hold off the likes of a Bubba Pollard, of a Johnny Sauter, of a Michael Atwell, of a Stephen Nasse, and to do so, that's got to give that team and that racer specifically a lot of confidence going forward. And I would expect Jake to have some good results coming up here, headed to a track at Bristol Motor Speedway this weekend with the Craftsman Truck Series. We'll see what kind of run Jake can have and see if that momentum can continue on throughout the rest of the season. So it was Garcia picking up the win. Colin Allman scored a second-place finish, had a runner-up finish earlier this year in Pro Late Model competition there at Cordele Motor Speedway, when the Cars Tour was there. So another great run for them. Johnny Sauter brought it home in third. Michael Atwell was fourth. Gavin Bichelle, couple of top fives for that young man. The confidence just continues to build, continues to grow for that young man as he continues to move up the ranks and really become kind of a standard and kind of a household name when it comes to super late model racing. Little bit of an improvement for Stephen Nasse, bringing it home in ninth, but a tough night for Bubba Pollard as he brought it home 15th, as he had some issues in that event. So not the night that he was looking for, but able to pick up the win on Friday night nonetheless. Speaking of Pollard, he is currently the Southern Super Series point standings points leader, and starting to run out of races. Not a lot of races left to go. Coming up on September the 27th, it'll be the final Blizzard Series race that'll take place at Five Flag Speedway. Then a couple of weeks off, they'll head to Nashville, to the Nashville Speedway, for the All-American 400, another one of those crown jewel events that Bubba would certainly love to get his name written in the record books once again. And then remember, as a part of the Southern Super Series schedule this year is the Florida Governor's Cup coming up on November the 15th. That's going to conclude the Southern Super Series season for 2025. Bubba currently with a 12-point advantage, very, very close over Cole Butcher, who's been having an incredible season over on the ASA Stars Tour. He's currently second in points. Matt Craig is third. You have the 18 of Colby Howard in fourth, and Gavin Bochelle rounding out the top five there with the Southern Super Series. So we'll see what happens here in a couple of weeks if anything shifts, because Butcher's been very, very good at Five Flags this year, as he's looking to try to lock himself and make sure that he is good to go and ready for the Snowball Derby. We mentioned the Stars Tour. They've got a big race coming up this weekend at Toledo, and the entry list was just unveiled for that race, and it is a star-studded event for what will be one of the final races of the year for the ASA Star Tours. After that, they will head to Winchester for the Winchester 400 coming up on October the 11th, and then they're going to conclude their season at the Nashville Fairgrounds there at the Nashville Speedway with of the All-American 400. And right now, Butcher is on cruise control with a 92-point advantage over Carson Brown. Gavin Bochelle is third in points. Dawson Sutton is fourth, and Derek Kraus rounding out the top five in the point standings for the ASA Stars Tour as they get ready to conclude their 2025 season, as they're leading up, of course, to the Snowball Derby that'll be coming up a little bit later on this season. So I want to switch things up a little bit, head over to the dirt side, as, of course, one of the biggest dirt late model events of the entire season takes place every year at Tony Stewart's place at Eldora in Rossburg, Ohio, for the running of the World 100, one of the biggest events of the year, one of the biggest paydays of the year. And what a run the 20 of Ricky Thornton Jr. has been on over the course of the last couple seasons, just continuing to work his way up the list, up the wins list, and just really becoming a household name in dirt racing, to where he has really kind of etched himself in the upper echelon of dirt racing. And anytime that you can go to Tony's place, to Eldora, and get a win in a crown jewel event like the World 100, that's a huge deal. So for Ricky Thornton Jr., his first ever win in the World 100, he was able to get around Jonathan Davenport around the halfway point of the race and never looked back. But the race throughout the night, talk about Ricky, going out and winning and leading a lot of laps and dominating the race. But the show was the 17 of Dale McDowell. He started all the way back in 19th, and Dale worked his way throughout the course of the 100-lap event, all the way from 19th up to second for a huge runner-up finish for Dale. So a lot of guys, while Ricky might have been checking out front, a lot of folks in the grandstands there at Eldora and, of course, online that were watching on Flow were keeping an eye on that 17 of Dale McDowell. So a big night for them as they were able to come home second. Nick Hoffman was third. Tyler Err was fourth. Ryan Gustin brought it home fifth. Brandon Shepard was sixth. He had Jonathan Davenport, who led early on in the race. He fell all the way back to the seventh position. He held off Chris Ferguson. Bobby Pierce brought it home in ninth, and Tanner English rounded out the top 10 there for the World 100 at Eldora. Big event for them, and great to see Eldora again, another one of those bucket list tracks that a lot of people have got to get to, and the World 100 is certainly one of those events that you do not want to miss. Taking a look at the Cars Tour as their season is starting to wind down. They've got 3 more events on the schedule, including one coming up this weekend at South Boston, as they'll head up to South Boston, Virginia for both pro late model and late model stock competition. It'll be a couple of weeks off, and then they're going to head to Tri-County Speedway, which always puts on some great racing. And then just 2 weeks later, after that, they're going to conclude their season at the North Wilkesboro Speedway for the final event for the Cars Tour and for both the late model stocks and the pro late models. Looking forward to see them. It's a really, really tight points battle over the course of the next couple of weeks between Connor Hall. You'll see Landon Lewis, and then, of course, over on the pro late model side, things are really starting to tighten up over there as well. Well, you see my shirt. Bristol Motor Speedway is happening this weekend, and not only do you have the NASCAR Cup Series getting their playoffs underway with a 500-lap race on Saturday, but you've got the Xfinity Series on Friday night, and then on Thursday, a doubleheader with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series and the ARCA Menards Series, featuring driver the number 30 car, Cletus McFarland, going to make his debut at the Bristol Motor Speedway in an ARCA car. He has competed there before in a Crown Vic, and a Ford Ranger, and he's also ripped a dirt late model around there with Joseph Joyner from the Hunt the Front series as well. So a little bit of experience there, but nothing like what he's going to experience Thursday evening when he gets behind the wheel of his Rhett Jones Racing number 30 car. That'll be taking place, of course, Thursday evening, leading up into the running of the Truck Series race as well. I saw that Cletus was in Charlotte today, able to do a little bit of testing with the Ford Performance Sim Rig. Brandon Butterbean McQueen, Queen, excuse me, trying to get the ARCA Menard Series Championship wrapped up. This is going to be the conclusion of the ARCA East Series for them. This will be their final race of the year. Big name list. I believe I saw Jake Finch's name is on the entry list as well. So be sure to tune into the ARCA race. And don't get to talk a lot of short track racing these days when it comes to NASCAR, but the Bristol Motor Speedway always puts on a good show, and the Bristol Night Race has always been a big bucket list item for a lot of fans that want to go see short track racing at Bristol Motor Speedway. Also, talk a little UARA national news, as we've got some big events coming up over the course of the next few weeks. The UARA Sportsman Series, I'll start with them. They're going to be back in action after their summer break coming up in a few weeks. They will be at the Auburndale. They'll be at the Auburndale Speedway coming up on Saturday, September the 27th. The race that was originally supposed to be a twin 50 format has been changed to a traditional 75-lap race. It'll be the Duco Performance 75. It's going to pay $2,500 to win. I know a lot of the drivers and teams were very happy to see that the series made the change from the twin 50 format to the 75-lapper. Yes, it takes away one feature and one potential winner, but I know for a lot of the teams, they much prefer to just run the 75-lap race, because God forbid something happens in that first 50, it really messes you up for the second race, and it can really affect the point standings. Dodge Carlbert's coming in with a big points lead, and he's trying to secure his second championship and do it in back-to-back years. He's got one less feature now and one less race that he's got to worry about where he could possibly run into some issues. So, of course, that'll be coming up on Saturday, September the 27th from Auburndale Speedway. You can watch that live on Racing America. And then they're going to conclude their season coming up on October 28th. UARA Sportsman Series will be at the Freedom Factory for a 75-lap event. And then they will also be a part of the Bigley Memorial Weekend. That'll be November the 29th. This is going to be the Sportsman Invitational. Just a 50-lap event. Top 20 in points will get the invite and be able to go and be a part of the Bigley Memorial Weekend, which we'll talk about that a little bit later on here as well. But shifting gears over to the UARA national side, some great events that are coming up over the course of the next month or two. We're going to hear from Aaron Wilcoxon and Augie Grill coming up here in just a little bit, and we're going to be talking about the Frank Grill Memorial 112. Obviously, Augie's family going to be honoring his father, and a huge deal for South Alabama Speedway, who typically only runs the one super late model race event a year early on in the season with the Rattler 250, but kind of a bonus super late model race for the fans there at South Alabama Speedway. So I would think the grandstands are going to be absolutely packed for that race coming up on Saturday, September the 20th. It's the Frank Grill Memorial 112. Now paying $10,000 to win. Originally it was just going to be $7,500, but some additional prize money has been added. You're also going to see a 50-lap UARA Crown Vic race. Yes, a Crown Vic sanctioned UARA race that's going to take place, as well as the local division, the Roadrunner. They're going to run for 25 laps. They added some additional prize money to the Fast Time Award. It's going to pay $1,120 for fast time. Second fastest is going to pay $500, so some additional bonus money there. This, of course, from the Engine Builders Fast Time bonus, where some of the engine builders all came together and said, let's throw together some extra prize money. So for an event that was originally going to pay $7,500, if you're able to go out, win the pole, win the race, and oh yeah, by the way, they've got a $500 halfway leader bonus courtesy from Alabama Vinyl and Print Company. So you've got an opportunity to get out of South Alabama Speedway with a pretty nice payday as we keep an eye on the point standings for the UARA National Tour. Because again, remember, the champion determined in that series based off the total prize money that you take in for the season. After that, UARA National going to stay in the state of Alabama coming up on October 4th. They're going to head to Mobile International Speedway for the Johnny's Premier RV Backyard Brawl 125, paying $7,500 to win. There's going to be a really nice Friday night pit party courtesy of Smith Scrap and Salvage Incorporated. That's going to feature free food for the drivers and teams as well as live music. You're not going to want to miss that as well. And those races are all leading up to the final race of the season, which will be Saturday, November the 29th. The UARA National Series concludes their season with the 10th running of the Bill Bigley Senior Memorial 128 live from Bradenton, Florida, and the Freedom Factory. And, of course, remember, all these races with the UARA National Tour can be seen live on Racing America, the official streaming partner of the UARA National and UARA Sportsman Series. So lots of great racing still to come. Looking forward to being able to call some of that action myself, and looking forward to recapping all the great races and all the great events that are going to be coming up here in just a little bit. But on the other side, we're going to be hearing from one of the absolute legends in all of short track racing, a driver who is going to be competing in the race coming up Saturday, September the 20th at South Alabama Speedway that bears his family name. When we come back from the break, you'll be hearing from short track legend Augie Grill next when we come back on the Let's Talk Short Track Racing podcast.
When the heat's on, chill harder with Just Chillin' cooling products. Stay frosty, keep it cool, keep it fast, just chillin'.
Racecar Engineering is your single source supplier for all your racing equipment. Dirt, asphalt, drag strip, street rod, or off-road. Their experts can keep you on the track and in the lead no matter what type of racing you do. Hundreds of brands, thousands of parts. Find them online at racecareng.com or call them toll free at 800-882-7231 and make sure to ask for your free catalog. That's Racecar Engineering, 800-882-7231.
Buying or selling a home? It's more than a transaction. It's a strategy. I'm Amy Lynn, and I bring clarity, confidence, and results to your real estate journey. Whether you're searching for the perfect place to call home or preparing to list your home for top dollar, I've got you covered. With smart marketing, strong negotiation, and a network you can trust, I don't just help clients close, I help them win. Let's make your next move the right one.
Five-star bodies, the most advanced bodies on the market, aerodynamically engineered, manufactured from the highest grade and lightest weight materials, tested tough for optimum performance. The highest quality and most durable products you'll find anywhere. Our products help racers around the world reach victory lane. Winning never looked so good. Faster, lighter, stronger, better. 5-star.
When the heat's on, chill harder with Just Chillin' cooling products.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Short Track Racing. On this week's episode, we are joined by two-time Snowball Derby champion and Alabama 200 winner, Augie Grill. Not only does he have a legacy himself, but he carries the legacy of his father, Frankie Grill. With the Frankie Grill Memorial 112 coming up at South Alabama, we are very excited to have you on and to talk about your dad's legacy, along with your own racing journey. Welcome, Augie.
Well, thanks for having me. It's good to be with you.
Yeah, we're excited, and let's go ahead and just get started. We'll start with kind of talking about your dad and what got him into racing and chassis building.
Okay, yeah, he actually was pretty interested in racing when he was a kid. His parents had nothing to do with racing. He just luckily lived down the street from a guy that used to race out at Birmingham, and would go out at the fairgrounds at Birmingham, and he would go out there with his family, and at that time, women and children couldn't go in the pit, so he just watching the stands, and that kind of sparked his interest. And he did soapbox derbies for a few years, and in and out of different things. And I think when he was 19, he started racing go-karts, and he did that for a year or two, and just kind of went on about his way, and wound up marrying my mother. And a few years passed, and he got the bug again, and built his first car, I think in 1970, and had some different people drive it right off the bat. He said he never wanted to drive himself because that first car he built, he knew he could put somebody in it and run pretty good, or he could get in and tear it up. So that's pretty much why he never drove. And that carried on for years. And I was born in '76, and I've basically been around racing my whole life. And of course my dad is definitely what got me into it. And it's been a good career for me so far.
Yeah, so kind of what inspired your dad didn't, obviously we talked about it, he didn't drive much. So what kind of got you in the seat versus just kind of sticking to the chassis building?
I don't know, from a young age, I wanted to drive. Just growing up, and back in those days, a lot of Cup drivers would come run late model races. I mean, Bobby Allison, Donnie Allison, Red Farmer, Neil Bonnet, Darrell Waltrip, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin. I mean, the list just goes on. And seeing those guys race and being able to get their autograph and this, that, and the other, and that's what I wanted to be. And I didn't wind up driving really until I was 26, although I did get in a car a couple of times when I was 15, and it turned out to be a little harder than I thought it was going to. Be. So, it took me a while, and my dad had always told me that if I ever wanted to race myself, I was going to have to build a car myself. And I don't know, just growing up and being involved in stuff with school and friends, I just never really had that great of an ambition to build one myself. And there in my early 20s, we were racing, pretty regular, following different series, and had a lull there of a year or two. And I mean, we were through about 4 or 5 drivers, and I mean, just working our butts off and tearing stuff up every week. And I finally got to the point, I was like, well, I could probably build my own car and wouldn't have to work any harder to fix it after I tear it up. So I did that, and in August of 2003 was my first race. And sure enough, I tore it up first race and had to put a front clip on it. But it got a little better after that. And I mean, I hate that I waited so late to start, but there again, I'm glad I did, because I don't know that I would have had the success I've had I started at a younger age.
Yeah, you kind of appreciate what you have, A, when you're older, and B, definitely when you're the one who has to fix what you tear up.
Oh yeah, yeah. It definitely makes you think about things and put things into. Perspective if you're the one that's going to have to get back to the shop and take it apart and do all the fixing and put it back together. It makes you think twice about making a dumb move. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of circling back to your dad starting the business and everything that he put into it, what do you think had the progression of the chassis and everything like that? What, from your perspective, what kind of set Gark cars apart from everything else?
I don't know, just it's kind of keeping up with the Joneses over the years. In the 80s, my dad was a dealer for what was called a Dillon race car. Dillon was from up in North Indiana, and I mean, it was just you had a Dillon car, you weren't going to run good at that time. And over the years, that kind of morphed into my dad just building his own cars. And you go through years where your stuff's just not running as good, and then you finally hit on something, and then you're running good again. And it's been up and down like that over the years. And you're always after that next thing. What's going to be the next thing that really picks our program up? And I don't know, the last about 5 or 6 years, I've really worked hard trying to get back to where we've been in the past. And I think I'm on the right track, and we're getting back to where we think we need to be, I believe.
For sure. And kind of, you've mentioned you're continuing his legacy by continuing to build chassis and also driving yourself. What's that balance like? Kind of keeping the business going while still trying to go out and race for yourself.
It's as I get older, it gets tougher to do. I mean, I still enjoy driving, but just the added work to get a car ready when we already got work in the shop, it gets to where it takes the enjoyment out of it. So I don't race as much as I used to, and that's the main reason. Just it's still fun when I'm at the racetrack and can finally get to it, but just the extra work and hours and all that's involved, sometimes it's just not worth it. So like I said, I kind of just pick and choose races when I want to go, and that's kind of what I've done the last 4 or 5 years anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And what's it kind of like? What's a day like kind of at the shop? Are you building chassis still from the ground up or mostly repair? What's that kind of look like?
It's kind of a equal spread. I mean, I don't build a whole lot of chassis much anymore, but I'd rather not have every chassis at the racetrack, because I've been in that situation a few times over the years, and I don't know, everybody's problem, it becomes your problem if everybody, if half the cars at the racetrack are ones you built. So, I like the balance we got right now. We're doing a lot of repair work and put a lot of bodies on, and, a lot of upgrading to cars. And that's kind of what I enjoy doing. That's kind of what I've tried to stick to.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of what was the transition like when you decided to kind of step back as a driver and go more full-fledged into the day-to-day operations?
It really wasn't much of a change. Like I said, it just as I've gotten older, I don't get as much out of myself in a day that I used to when I was 25 or 30. So over time, it just gets to where it's just easier to make that transition. I mean, I probably have lost half a step because I'm not racing as often, but I still feel like I can do pretty good in the car, and I still enjoy to do it a lot for sure. So as far as transition from going from racing about every weekend to once every month or month and a half, it really hasn't been that big of a change. And two, I still got two smaller kids at home, so being able to spend time with them and with my wife are important to me as well. So it's just kind of a balancing act sometimes. Sometimes you got to let some things go so you can do other things.
And that's all life is for the most part.
Yeah,
A very
for
easy
sure.
transition, especially with having kids at home and stuff. I'm sure having kind of that work-life balance of being home in the shop and stuff, it's easier to get home at 5 o'clock rather than if you're working on your own race car, you're at the shop until 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, that's for sure. And that's happened a lot over the years, I promise you.
Yeah, it's a normal part of it for sure. But yeah, let's go ahead and start talking a little bit about the memorial race coming up at South Alabama Speedway in 2 weeks. Kind of what you're partnering with Ricky Brooks. It is a Ricky Brooks race with the UARA National Series. Kind of tell us about how that kind of came together.
Well, Ricky, I guess she probably by this time last year kind of mentioned it to me if I'd be interested, and I said, well, I think that would be pretty cool. You know, maybe we can get something together and put something together. And I don't know, just kind of went for a few months and didn't really hear anything about it. And we got back together earlier this year, and he said, I think we can do it. I think we got it rolling here. And he kind of got John Dykes at South Alabama Speedway involved, and we're able to put it together and put a date out. And we've been able to get a little sponsorship help here and there, and made the purse a little better. And it's looking like we're going to have a pretty good field of cars. So I'm looking really forward to it.
Yeah, I think South Alabama also, it's a great choice. It's a great way for people to prepare for the next year's Rattler also. And there's only one, the Rattler is the only other super late model race there for the entirety of the season for the most part.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we used to race it off, shoot 10, 12, 14 times a year. And it went from that to, yeah, he's got one super race a year and one pro race a year. So I'm looking forward to maybe making this an annual thing to where we at least got another option as the year goes to go to a different track. And hopefully we can keep it rolling and have it for years to come.
Yeah, for sure. And what's it mean kind of for you and your family to see a memorial race for Frankie Grill come to life?
It's pretty special. I have a sister, and she's not involved in racing at all. When we were kids, of course, she'd go to the racetrack a lot. But once we got of age, just like kind of lost interest, and she's kind of excited about it because it is our dad the memorial's for. So it means a lot to us. Just people recognizing that he was one of to me the forefathers of short track racing have done it so long. It just makes it kind of special for us. And like I said, if we could make it an annual deal for years to come, that would really be good for my family and I.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome that it's kind of helping your sister who isn't really involved in racing come around. Will she be joining you guys at the track any that weekend?
Yeah, she will be. I don't know if she'll be there Friday, but she'll definitely be there Saturday, and cheering me on and rooting the race on in general.
Yeah, awesome. So you are racing it.
Yes, I wasn't sure earlier in the year where I'd be with my health stuff, so I kind of I was going to have a car there regardless, but wasn't sure if I'd be driving it or not. And the way things have kind of lined up, it's going to work out to where I can drive. So I'm excited about that because I really wanted to be part of my dad's first memorial race, So I'm excited about that, and I think it looks to be like we're going to have a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's exciting that you will be able to be back piloting that 112 machine. Can you kind of tell us a little bit too? I know that number is really special to you guys. Can you tell us the story about how that number, the 112, came into fruition?
Yep. When I was 26 and trying to get ready to run my first, I think I was turning 26 right after. Anyway, long story short, I was racking my brain what number to be because I'd raced go-karts when I was younger, and I had whoever was driving my dad's car at the time, whatever the number of the car was, is what number my go-kart was. So never really had a number for myself. And I don't know, the first racing go-kart I ever had, Gary Blue basically gave it to me when I was 8, I believe. And the first handful of races I ran with it was 112, just to say thank you to him. And there again, I was kind of leaning toward number 12 when I first put that first car together. But when at that point in time, if you had 12 and another car had 12, somebody had to change their number at the racetrack. Mm-hmm. So I just got to thinking, well, my go-kart was 112. Why not just be 112? But I got to do something different. And I don't know, just the small one in the front just kind of hit me. It's like, well, I'll just try this. And went and sat with a girl that was doing my decal stuff at the time, and we kind of played with some stuff, and that's just what we came up with. And I think it's been kind of cool because I see a lot of other cars with that small number in front of the two big numbers. So I kind of feel like maybe they did that because of me, but it's been pretty neat. It stands out for sure, and you don't see it every racetrack you go to. So I think it's been pretty cool, and I don't know, maybe one day somebody want to copy my number doing the same thing.
Yeah, it is such a cool, it's something you definitely that's unique. You're starting, like you said, you are kind of starting to see the smaller number out front a little bit more now. And it is a cool tradition because it kind of does help you if you are at a track, like you don't have to change your number because I mean, nowadays it's more common for more people to have the same numbers. They don't necessarily, especially in the late model series, make you change your number, but it does give you the option, especially if there are other numbers to make you stand out so that your people know who they're looking for, because yeah, there can be a lot of 12s out there.
Oh yeah, exactly. And too, back when I started driving first, we didn't have race monitor or any kind of electronic scoring, so we were still paper scoring, and yeah, it just kind of helped the scores out at the time to be able to pick their car out versus the other car that might have the same number. So things have changed over the years, though. So we have electronic scoring, don't have to have a score at every race like we used to.
Yeah, for sure. The electronic scoring has made things a lot very nice and very easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, like let's kind of start summing up a little bit. What is some of the like if you had to look back at a lesson that you learned throughout your racing career that your father taught you, what is one of the biggest lessons you think you learned from him?
Driving wise, just not being a bull in a china shop. Uh, pretty much from day one, me driving race cars, if I was in the car, I was going as hard as I could, as aggressive as I could, and he beat my head for a few years. Just you don't have to do that. Take it easy. Just trying to basically slow me down, pull the reins back, and it finally resignated. And all right, well now I can do that. But that's probably one of the biggest things he taught me as far as driving goes. With working on the race cars part, I mean, there's so many aspects of what he taught me. I mean, everything I do in the shop, I do because he taught me the right way. So to pinpoint one thing, that would be tough. But there again, I'm so appreciative to my dad for finding this as a trade before I was of age to work, because he figured out he didn't want to do a bunch of other jobs before he started building race cars, and I didn't have to do that. All I had to do is start building race cars. So that was that made it easy for me.
Yeah, for sure. It helped you kind of narrow down, and it's hard for any child, any kid out there. It's hard for them to kind of know what career path they want. They do have to, a lot of times, have to go down and try a lot of different careers. And that's awesome that you kind of had it laid out of exactly what career steps you could make and step into a role that you enjoyed straight off the bat.
Yep. I've told people I've never not looked forward to coming to work. I've never dreaded coming to work. So that's a blessing in its own. And I got an 18-year-old son that's in a little community college here close to the shop, and that's what I worry with him. He's all right. He goes to college for a few years and gets a degree or in this or that, and will even be able to find a job that degree helps him in. I don't know. Well, I guess time will tell. But that's something I don't really understand. Kids just aren't into race cars and cool things like that that kids used to be. I mean, when I grew up, a race car passed on an open trailer, and every kid around would turn their head and ooh and ah. But now it's not cool to them anymore, and I don't know what we need to do to try to get that going again. We won't have anything to do in another 15 years if the kids don't want to do it.
No, that's a very interesting point. That's something I've definitely noticed too, because I grew up going to the track. My dad drives the pace car and stuff out at New Smyrna Speedway and stuff. So I grew up every weekend. I'd be out at New Smyrna, and as I've gotten older, I see less and yet less younger kids and kids my age, or I guess we're not necessarily kids anymore, but people my age, I don't see as many of us out at the track unless we're there with our significant others or if our parents are involved. But you don't really see that. You have a lot of kids in go-karts still, but you don't see them kind of evolving from go-karting into stock car or anything like that anymore.
Yeah, and I'm afraid the expense of it is probably what's made that happen like that. I mean, it's hard for local guys to run a hobby stock anymore because everything's gotten so expensive. And there's so many other things for families to do nowadays. There's so many kids that are into softball or baseball or football or basketball or just whatever, and parents go full bore on that kind of stuff now. So, it takes a big chunk of the kids away just doing some of that. But like I said, I don't know. There's so many things for families to do nowadays. It's hard for them to be able to do extra and go to the racetrack. And I don't know. We just us as racers and track owners and everything and promoters, we got to figure out a way to make it interesting to them again, so we can start getting bigger number of people up in the stands.
Yeah, especially, getting them in the stands and getting them reinterested into racing and stuff like we had mentioned.
Yep.
Kind of like how we're talking too. What do you think your dad would what would his opinion on today's short track racing scene be? How would he feel about kind of what the aspects of it look like today?
Well, he's only been gone for about almost 5 years, so he kind of saw the way things were shaping up. The rent-a-rides were getting big before he passed away, and saw that coming. And he didn't like the way it was going, but there again, everything's gotten so expensive. You can't just a car owner like what my dad did for years. I mean, he would hire a driver and be able to pay him from what the car made. Well, there's no way somebody could do that now because it costs so much to keep a car up. I mean, that's why people got to bring money to be able to drive somebody's car, and it makes perfect sense, but it doesn't make it to where I have to like it,
Yeah.
And there's no correct answer as far as what to do to make it to where people can afford it, because I think we're way past that. It just, it's something I can see. I've seen flyers from the late 70s, early 80s for local races that pay as well as local races do now, and that was 45 years ago. And the expenses to get the racetrack, even at the local level, is so much greater than it was in 1980 that somehow the promoters need to be able to pay a little bit more money to make it at least make the racers seem like they're going to be okay.
Yeah, at least equal out.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, when you go to run a race that don't even pay what the set of tires that you got to buy to run a race pays, or cost, that makes sense for racers. And not that everybody can win anyway, but somebody, most racers want to have the idea in their head that if they go to the racetrack, they're not going to lose too much money.
Yeah.
And that's definitely, that's the way everybody feels now. Like I said, even at the local level, I'm close enough here to a couple of local tracks, and I hear what they complain and fuss about, and I feel them. I mean, I do. Every time I get my super late model ready to go race, I know there's X to Y as to how much money I'm going to lose to go race. And it don't matter if I win, lose, or draw. It's going to cost that much money for me to go race, and it takes a lot of the enjoyment and excitement out of it. That's for sure. And I'm not a kid with a dad or a granddad that's got tons of money, so it makes it not make sense for a lot of people to not go race.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's kind of where how we mentioned, it's kind of why we're seeing that disconnect and less people kind of getting into racing and switching from go-karts or whatever, even other sports, football and stuff, into racing. It makes sense because parents have a hard time kind of knowing that they're going to the track and losing money.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And there again, there's so many things for people to spend money on. Taking a family of four and sitting in the stands and costs $100 just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for families.
Yeah, and not to mention food.
Yeah, and food and drinks and of course the prices are a little inflated everywhere we go
Yep.
anymore. So I mean, a family of four going to the racetrack, sitting in the stands, they're going to spend $150 to $200. You
Yeah.
might as well say, and not every family's got that to blow every week. But they're again. Hopefully, over the next few years, things can change. We'll see how that transpires, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Augie, thank you so much for coming on tonight and telling us about a little bit more about your dad's story. And we're excited for the the Frankie Grill Memorial 112 here in 2 weeks at South Alabama, and excited to hear that you will be back behind the wheel.
Well, I appreciate that, and thanks for having me on, and hope to see you there.
Yes, we will be there. We will see you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
5-star bodies, the most advanced bodies on the market, aerodynamically engineered, manufactured from the highest grade and lightest weight materials, tested tough for optimum performance, the highest quality and most durable products you'll find anywhere. Our products help racers around the world reach victory lane. Winning never looked so good. Faster, lighter, stronger, better. 5-star.
Race Car Engineering is your single source supplier for all your racing equipment: dirt, asphalt, drag strip, street rod, or off-road. Their experts can keep you on the track and in the lead no matter what type of racing you do. Hundreds of brands, thousands of parts. Find them online at racecareng.com or call them toll free at 800-882-7231 and make sure to ask for your free catalog. That's Race Car Engineering, 800-882-7231.
Buying or selling a home? It's more than a transaction, it's a strategy. I'm Amy Lynn, and I bring clarity, confidence, and results to your real estate journey.